Sylvester, let's talk about the multilingual. I mean, this is really a very great piece of work. You've talked about multilingual, and we've seen a girl there singing in Lutoro. That's the first time I've never heard of a rapper in Lutoro, in that language. So
no, I know actually she was rapping in no, that's Runyoro. That's Runyoro.
Runyoro, yes,
yes. Yeah, but it being a multilingual platform, it has also introduced us to, languages, more and more languages, because it's an expression of culture. So people come with different languages. For example, like the first time I had Kumam. Do you know that there's a language called Kumam?
Kumam, yes.
Kumam,
yes,
but
it's between Teso and Lango, yes.
But it's a tribe of like they have a small population.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was the first time I was like, wow, what language is this? And she said there were two guys, they're Kumam. Yes. And they featured on the 2015 album.
Yes.
And it was sounding so nice that you're forced to ask what language it is, you know, and it was so nice. Then there are some languages, you know them, but you've never had someone, use them in a song as an expression, like Lugisu, like Kejong, and so many others. Yes, others who've grown up listening to them, but we've never had someone, using them in a rap song. So it has been an eye-opener even for us as organizers, listening to different, expressions in various languages. So we welcome everyone, to express themselves freely. And Faisal, Kiwewa, the director of Baimba, the first time he had Big Ben, one of the participants in the 2013 Boot Camp, he had him rap in Lugisu, and he thought it was a language from South Africa, like one of those languages from South Africa. Like it was sounding so nice. It was like, wow, what language is this? Is this from South Africa? So that's how it is. It has been an interesting journey as well, that we're discovering these languages. We know them, but we know it's a different way when someone uses it in a song as an expression. It's a very good feeling.
Welcome to the Creative Industry Talk this week. My name is Eddie Okila, and returning on the show from the break, along all it a break, is a resident panelist, is a creative mind, is the founder and artistic director of Baimba International Foundation, a cultural foundation here promoting culture, art, and music all across the world. We all know Baimba, and of course we all know our brother from another mother, Faisal Kiwewa. Welcome back to the show, and of course, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
2022, we are here. Yes. First of all, how was your holiday?
It was great. I had a lot of fun. I went mountain climbing.
Okay.
So, and I enjoyed it. A bit of snow and relaxing.
Okay.
So, I'm totally refreshed.
Yes. When you say you went mountain climbing, was it at the State House in Lunkulu because it's an island?
Lunkulu has no mountains.
You could have been climbing the trees, the tall trees in the place.
No. I was somewhere in Italy with family, so we had some kind of like holiday.
Okay.
And it was amazing. Yeah.
Oh, great. Welcome back from the break, and also we want to take the opportunity to welcome you to 2022.
Yeah.
It's just the 10th day of the year of our Lord, 365 days. We've only done 10.
Yeah.
Yes, 11.
And we're already worried.
Yes, and we're already concerned.
Yeah.
Well, but on a lighter note, I want to take opportunity to welcome every single one of you guys out there to the program. This is the Creative Industry Talk, where we get to discuss everything about creativity and everything about creative thinking, from the music, art, entertainment, culture, and of course, creativity springs across all of that. Okay, marketing and communication is all creativity. And of course, today's topic is very interesting. But first, I want to welcome all of you guys from all across the world. Edwin, welcome back to Uganda. You've been watching the show all the way in Germany, but now you're in Uganda. You can actually catch up with Faisal Kiwewa, when the show is over, and, have a word with him in Kampala.
Is he vaccinated?
Yes, I think he's vaccinated because
we can meet up there.
he's in the country at the moment. That's a big fan of the Creative Industry Talk and Helder's Wisdom Circle. And of course, I want to talk to you guys out there who are watching the show from all across the world, either in the US, in Australia, in Germany, in Cote d'Ivoire, in Congo. We have got some guys in Togo. We've got some guys in Ouagadougou. Man, the Creative Industry Talk is going places. Some guys in Kenya, watu wa Kenya, niaje, Tanzania, habari ya leo, okay? And all of you guys who speak Kiswahili, welcome to the program. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Please go there, subscribe, and be part of the family growing bigger and better. Subscribe to that there on the screen, and then be part of the family. Faisal, we want to start the show from a very lighter note. The president addressed the country recently. And he said that Uganda is finally, going to be free. And the creative arts schools opened this week. And of course, they're going to be, going back to business after 2 years. Yeah. The creative minds in the children were dead. I think they could not think anymore because COVID, they've been in a lockdown for this long. So we are grateful that Uganda has finally opened and kids are going back to school. And also he said that the art and culture industry or creative industry can finally now go back.
On the 24th.
Yeah, the 24th, and particularly the music, performing art, and of course the theater and drama, and all the things are now opening up. What does this really mean, but to the industry?
I think it's really a very good opportunity. Of course, it's been overdue. I wouldn't say that the arts have been completely silent. People have been doing a few performances, not all the art forms, but a few have been operational, not officially off the hook. But now, at least now that it's official, so we can easily start planning our calendars and our events. Actually, we've already set up our first event on the 5th of February. So for those who have seen it, so you'll be happy to join us and celebrate the birthday of Bob Marley on Lunkulu Island.
Okay.
So it's going to be fascinating with all the SOPs and trying to keep the numbers low.
Okay.
So this is what it means, that people have been really eager to get out to start planning, and I think this gesture of saying now he has officially opened the industry, it's really good that now we can start thinking on how we are going to engage.
Okay. And talking of that, Faisal, I want to take you to the first question of the day. Of course, I would like to ask the team to first put the questions up on the screen, the topic on the screen, so that everybody can check in out. We're talking about the challenges of 2022, okay? 2022 challenges for the independent creative art scene. Yeah. And when we talk about the independent creative art scene, what does we mean? We're going to talk about it. I want you to join into this conversation and send us your kisses and disses, send us your comments, and we'll be able to talk about it. What are the challenges that you see that is coming up, and of course that we can look into and have a discussion here. But first I want to take you straight to when we talk about the independent creative arts, what are we really referring to from that point of view?
Yeah, I think the independent creative arts is where you find individuals like you and I, who are really hustling on their own, trying to make ends meet, or trying to create work, or trying to develop their skills, or trying to be part of an industry that they are who they are as artists. So the independent art scene is really, we look at like filmmakers, we look at musicians, we look at theater practitioners, playwrights, and then there is the independent. These are the individuals who are doing things off, like, without rules. They don't follow anyone's rule. They don't. They're just doing what they love, and they're not really being guided by principles or whatever. But they just want to do what they love. And then the non-independent art scene is really, you find the the legal, the policy, the government, the social culture of the arts, where like government institutions or foundations that are really working with a pool of grants and support structure. But the independent art scene is really like, you find individuals like who are doing their work, and they're trying to survive, and they're trying to make ends meet, at the same time doing what they love. Yeah.
Okay. And on that note, Faisal, when we talk about this independence, what are we looking for from this independence? I mean, you say they don't usually follow the normal rules that are set in place. They are creative. What makes them so unique to the industry?
I think every time, most of the time, it's always important to have a free independent art scene, because that's where most of the independent art scene is there to challenge the normal, to challenge the status quo, to give you a different perspective when it comes to arts. Most of the artists, sometimes they are independent, but they're not actually independent, because there's a lot of fatigue when it comes to censorship, self-censorship. So you find people who are supposed to be independent are not actually, because they are worried about, if they are too independent, then they might not be able to survive in the market. And also, if the market does not understand what it means to work with the independent, or appreciate, even in the rest of the world, when you go to places like Europe or America, you find that the independent art scene is always struggling. It's always called the underground. They're always like, we are trying to make ends meet. They're earning little. They're creating small things out of their own pockets. They're really struggling, and they don't easily get funding, because they don't have like official or professional structures like institutions or registrations, organizations. Some of them don't have bank accounts. So they are really like doing things off the book, but they're doing what they love. That's the most important thing. So giving such artists an opportunity to express themselves the way they should really gives an opportunity to the industry to kind of test a different aspect of the arts, the way they are presented.
Wow. Yeah. Well, we are talking to Faisal Kiwewa right here about the 2022 challenges that faces the independent art, creative minds, and in the art industry, in the scene of creativity in Uganda. What are your says? What are your thoughts? What do you have to say? What kind of challenges do you think, they face in 2022, and how can we, talk about the, solutions to this problem? We're going to take a break, and when we come back, Faisal and I are going to dive deep into the question of how do we make this better. Stay right there. We'll be right back after this. This is the Creative Industry Talk.
So, distinguishing prose poetry and drama.
Yes.
This is an academic question.
Yes.
So let me just be frank with it. So we have literature. Literature can easily simply be defined as the creative expressions of a given culture, of a given people. And it is normally done through writing, through singing, through speaking. Now, literature is that creative expression that focuses on the written word. As you hear the word itself, literature, literate, meaning to write. Now, we are going to restrict ourselves to three things. So we talked about prose, talked about poetry, talked about drama.
Yes.
Now, prose is that kind of creative expression that is more elaborate.
Flow, yes.
It is more elaborate. So if you're reading a novel, if you're reading a short story, if you're reading a biography, you know, that falls within the, if you're an essay, that is in a form of prose. Yes. Now poetry is more rhythmic. It is briefer, and in most cases we use a lot of descriptive and colorful language. So if you look at a novel and a poem, what a novel can say in 200 words, a poem can say in 1 page. Now, those are the differences between the poetry.
That's the difference between these.
Yes. Now, when it comes to drama, drama, the way you hear the word, drama is language in action.
Yes.
Language in action.
Yeah.
So drama is that kind of written literature where you capture characters talking. But from what they talk, for you the reader or the listener, you can infer what is taking place. Yeah. So drama is it always takes place when characters are either talking to themselves or they're talking to others. Yeah.
Welcome back from the break. My name is Okila and this is the Creative Industry Talk, where we discussed everything about creativity in Uganda and beyond the borders. Of course, we will have to start from here, talking about the creative minds and talking about the things that affect the creative industry in Uganda. Today's topic is about the challenges of 2022 or 2022 challenges that faces the creative industry or the creative art scene in Uganda, the independent creative art scene in Uganda. We have those independents and we need them, like Faisal said, and they need to be part of the show and a part of the conversation going forward. Faisal, welcome back to the program. Yeah. We left at a point when we were talking about what do we refer to the independents, and you've talked about. I want to ask you my second question, which is, now that government is actually opening up and we now know who the independents are, you know, is opening up the performing arts to operate. Do you actually think that you guys who are in the promotion of art, particularly the music, you know, the drama, and the what I would call the performing arts in general,
even the visual,
the visual arts in general, who are ready? Do you think you're ready to engage people once again after 2 years or 2.5 years of no activity brought about by COVID-19?
I think the advantage of the lockdown and the past 2 years has been, like, most of the creatives, whether they are independent or not, have been engaged in a process of creating content, and I'm curious to see what's going to come out of this now that we are free to start working. I'm sure everyone is going to be ready to prepare to present something that they've been working on. So I'm not really worried about if there is content. I think I'm very worried about who is going to present it, because most people have actually, not maybe actually, have really moved on. Yes. I mean, they realized that they were chasing a dead horse, you know, and they were like, you know, we are not going to survive. 2 years of not working, even trying to mitigate the, you know, life. Now that they are, you know, they have started some jobs. You know, if you have a job that is 9 to 5, you're not going to start, you know, going for rehearsals or going to dance in a studio. And what are you going to eat if you go there? So I think my biggest worry is about who is going to be presenting the content, whether it's dance, whether it's theater, whether it's music, whether it's film. Okay, film is different, but I think there are certain art forms that are independent and they really need an effort for someone to be able to present it. And I think opening up without any support structure to help these people get back into the market it's going to be really, really difficult. So for me, I think that's going to be the biggest challenge.
Okay, so when you say there are certain art form that needs really, really support, and there's some that needs to, what are those, you know, can you highlight some of them that needs to?
Yes, I mean, when we are talking about like the independent art scene, we are talking about some of the independent artists I know, and they are the most challenged one are the contemporary dancers. The contemporary dancers, first of all, contemporary dance is very, very new to the industry, to the market here. And even when they have been working over the years, you know, dancers like, you know, Jonas, like Julius, like Oscar, have been really working hard to really cultivate their audiences. And they have been not really managing to get them, you know, to get them to fill up the auditoriums. And now that they are back, they need a lot of time. They need at least 6 to 8 months to prepare a production. And which means that now that they don't have money and they're opened up to start, they needed someone to, you know, or they needed some kind of like a support fund to get them to start so that they can be able to prepare their work to present it to the audiences.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what kind of support are we looking at here?
Money, of course. I mean, it's money. I don't think, you know, there's anything else. Maybe also space. Space is also an important thing because some of them need space. They might have time and they might have money to survive on where to stay, but they definitely need space to rehearse on.
Before I go to the next question, Faisal, I know you're talking about something very important, and I know it's coming from a genuine point. But taking case in point in Uganda here, where coming out and saying we need help in this kind of area has always been termed as opportunity for somebody to take advantage of you and to control the way you think, particularly from the artist's point of view, where you think. Artists in Uganda, because some of the musical artists ended up in politics, and so it has complicated the situation of help and money in Uganda, that now when we talk about it, the artist is seen and feared, particularly from the music point of view, and writers as these guys. We had not thought about the power they hold, the will, until they went into politics where they are not supposed to be. And now they're becoming more and more prominent in that space. So the traditional political operation and thinking and ideology, when an artist come out to say we need help, it's instead an opportunity for them to squeeze them more, and to say, hold this one here, give this one. How are we going to move forward?
I think it's a challenge on both ways. For me, I mean, there are people who are independent and they don't seek, you know, how do you call those? Envelopes. They don't seek, they don't go begging, you know. Of course, there is another way of begging. Like we go to organizations, we go to foundations, we beg, yes. But this functional begging, whereby also the givers make it difficult for the people who are being given to feel like they are being supported genuinely. So for me, it will be very difficult to convince myself to go and ask government for support. It will be very, very difficult, because I know the moment I do that, I would have made a choice. They will say, you chose a side. You get what I mean? I love my independency. I love to be neutral. I don't do politics. And I can't go for political money because it gives me a feeling of like I am not honest with myself and I'm not honest with the principles of my work, so I can't go there. Yet there are others who feel like they don't have a choice. They have to go for it. And you can't blame them, because if there was a structure which could say like the government, as a government, not the parties or the politics, but the government has the way it does for other institutions, that if you want money, you go to this institution. And that money, you apply for it. If you are genuinely able to receive that money, you get it like anyone else. But there isn't that structure. So they resort to shortcuts. And these shortcuts are not really sustainable as well.
Yeah, I would like to think that the structure is there, because we have a ministry of creative that is responsible.
But it's not.
And then we also have another one, a duplication of that under the Presidential Roundtable Initiative to help the creative industry. It has a huge document which I read last time, and then whenever you try to look for the people who are actually really that you should look for in the creative industry, you can't seem to find who is responsible. One time I reached out to Amos Wekesa and I was saying, but Wekesa, you sit in this, you know, committee. Can you please tell me who are the people representing the creative arts industry? Because there's a document. And Amos said, let me look around and see. Up to now, Amos has not yet given me who they are. But yet when you hear awards happening in Uganda, we had a recent award where award was organized in record time in the history of the world. Uganda has an award where it was organized
Let's
in
not
2
talk
months.
about our friend.
Yes.
No, he did a good job.
No. I'm talking about.
He did his best.
There was a group of people that came in to work with that artist. It's not an artist. Artist had the award, which was going to be given, but the effort was not him. It was. I would like to think that there was a group of people that came in to help artists. And also that was an initiative to say, as we're opening it up, we want to appreciate a certain group of people in the art industry. And the award was given out. My issue was not because the award was given out. My issue was that the artist actually seems to have been squeezed. When the award came in, they couldn't even think about the process of sustaining the big award. So you see, that's what I'm saying. They squeeze them out, and yet you're saying there are structures. And I would like to think the structures are there because the Ministry of Creative, there's a Ministry of Culture, Creativity, and I think whatever we're
Gender
calling it, gender and something. Yes. But then there's a roundtable initiative. Presidential roundtable initiative on creative arts industry, where they're actually saying we need to start regulating this industry. So that structure exists. But is it genuine?
No, I think the challenge, as we say, the challenge with our politics, and I will not say the challenge with our ministry or whatever, it's all politics. And I think there hasn't been a genuine effort to make to have a vision that everyone is contributing to. And that's really the biggest problem. You cannot start putting up round tables and whatever when you don't know what they are going to do. And I've had this conversation with the commissioners, and I told them, what this country needs is to hold some of these processes, because you're spending money, but you're not really understanding what you're spending money on. Let us first hold and see what do we need as a country. Give ourselves a year and assess who is there. What does Faisal do? What do we spend all the money that we spend on? Why are we building Lunkulu? No one has ever come to ask, why are we building this area? But then when they see that, Faisal has bought this island and is trying to build a space, they also say, let's also go, let's find 10 acres in Mabida. Maybe we can put a building there and call it a film studio. No, that's not what this country needs. You need to sit together with all your stakeholders and identify the loopholes, the opportunities, the challenges, and then you can mitigate them together. It's all our country. And every investment that we are making, we are putting in money, you are putting in money. If we put it together and we know, if I'm spending 400 million, in 2018, I spent over 500 million on arts education. So if that money was redirected to go to the right people, and the ministry could also say, okay, we need to, for me, one of the biggest problems I find here, now that schools are open, is that we don't have arts teachers. And I've told these guys, we don't have arts teachers, and we have a whole curriculum that could help them to teach people to learn how to teach art in schools. And they're like, no, it has to go through the government. I understand. But what is your effort to make that happen? Because you know very well that kids are going to go back to school. They're going to be learning art as you're pushing it to be part of the curriculum. But there is no one who is able to teach that curriculum to the kids. So why don't we work together? We have the content. We have the curriculum. You have the people, the teachers that you have who don't know how to teach. Then let's work together to teach them. And this effort is when someone has a settled mind, when someone has a very interested developmental kind of concept and a shared vision that I want to work with other stakeholders to take this place forward. So when we look at the independent artists, when we look at the supported social artists, when we look at all these business people who are doing it, everyone is doing everything on their own, including the government. So that's a very bad situation. And it's going to take a long time to get out of it. So what we have to do as a people, for me, I just do what I need to do, what I think is right to do. And I don't want to wait in that line, waiting for them to wake up. No, I do what I'm supposed to do, and I work with those who are open-minded, and then we see where we can go. Then the rest who come along next time, they'll pick it up from there.
Wow. We're talking about the 2022 challenges for the independent, creative arts scene in Uganda, creative artist in Uganda. My name is Okila and Faisal Kiwewa, and this is the Creative Industry Talk. And of course, we want to hear from you. What are your views on what Faisal is talking about? What are your views on the stuff that we're talking about here? You can send us your comments either on Facebook or YouTube, on Twitter. We are live on YouTube at, of course, go to House of Talent TV studio, and please subscribe, share far and wide if you're a creative mind. And of course, we are live on Facebook, House of Talent Uganda. Go there, send us your kisses and disses. Tell us what you want to hear, what you want to hear from us, and also your views, because you have views. You're a creative mind, you have views, or you think you know somebody in the creative industry who is struggling, and they need help. You can share those views, and we can give you some tips here on how you can go about it. Now, before we go for a break, Faisal, I want to ask you my next question. You're talking about funding, and you talk about the president says we're going to open. The country is going to open come 21st, and everyone is looking forward to it. I've known artists who are already working on their art pieces. People are working on opening up for exhibitions. The visual arts sector is opening. I visited. Senson is busy with a lot of stuff. Senson, the whole gallery was about COVID-19 and masks. I said, hey, Senson, man, what's going on? He says, well, this is what we're selling at the time.
There's a lot.
And I said that I felt a bit hard that Senson, with all his creativity, was zeroed down to only thinking COVID, because that's all that was there. And I understand where Senson's coming from, because he has to survive. He has to do something around the situation surrounding the circumstances that are prevailing at the moment. Yes. But so when I went there, they said, no, we're now opening up. And I'm yet to visit Paulo Kiki or Juicy Art Gallery. These are the big top names in this industry who are totally not working. And I want to see what they're coming. So many of them are coming up with a lot of stuff that is going on. But my question to you is, Faisal, do you think there is enough funds to start to open up, first of all, for artists and from promoters like you and programmers like you? Need to tell us this, because you are in that space. And number two, are there any support funds for the independent arts industry?
I think, to be honest, there's not enough fund, because there's no, I don't want to look out to the diaspora, where I say, okay, let's go to Europe and America to look for money. Those are extras. Those are really favors. Like when we get money from Europe or America, those people are doing us a favor, because they're giving us their taxpayers' money. Like we have our taxpayers' money here, and we decide to give it to these people who chase us off the road every day with sirens. What are they?
Police.
Those no, these guys with government cars.
Yes. The government workers.
So it shows.
It
shows where our choices are. We are not. I think for me, if if government was serious, and I really don't want to drill into what government does and what they don't do, but I think if they were serious, they would have said, okay, we're going to open up these guys, but how are we going to help them to kickstart their lives? Of course, they will say, oh no, but we had money from Gulu, we gave them money, every, group, or they had groups, associations, we gave them money. Yes, that money was given, but that was for helping them to go through the process that they are not working. But now they are starting to open up. Many people have their theaters or spaces, they are like the schools. They are all, deteriorating. They don't have space where to go. Some of the costume, the technical people, like I was talking to Rasby the other time, and he was saying me, all his cables are eaten up by, they are rusted.
Yes.
He has to invest a lot of money in revamping, cleaning, and setting up his system again.
Yes.
So how is he going to get money? How is he supported to be able to get back on his feet? I think they should have done that. The way they have done, to think about the schools and give them 1.5 million each school to start to invest
seed money
for COVID only. I don't know what else. I saw it on the news. I don't read that news that much, but I saw that they gave each school 1.5 for COVID, whatever. They should have also said that, the industry is open now. Who are there? Because what did the Americans do? What the Americans did is that when they realized, and they opened up like, not like us, I think it was after like 4 or 6 months, they set up a website, a government website, and they said that if you're a stage manager, if you're a DJ, if you're a programmer, if you're a dancer, the whole of Broadway, they say, okay, sign up here, give us your details. What do you do? How much were you earning? So that we can know. They get a rate. They're not going to give you all the money that you've been earning, but at least they have an idea of the range of your salary. And then they give you something to help you kickstart your new life or or when you're opening up. So I think the funding, and I would like to focus on our own country here, how things are being looked at. We are seriously not being considered to be relevant. And I'm not saying we are the only ones, because I don't think the education industry sector is also considered. I don't think the infrastructure is considered. I don't think anything is considered here except security. So I really think we need to rethink how we support our people, because the whole reason why many kids are going out to work in other countries, and that's why we're going to have a lot of problems with the artists going back to stages, is because there is no hope for them. There's nothing for them. And someone rather goes to work in Dubai and earns 1 million a month than being here and hustling every day to walk from the National Theatre to the tax park. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the funding structure is not there. And if it's there, it's politicized. So it's not genuine. So if it's genuine, or if it should be genuine, then there has to be a plan that is going to be set up to help the people. We have to start to think for the people. We can't keep on doing this, you know. We can't continue always doing things because out of, ad hoc. They call it ad hoc. You know, today there's a problem, you put money. It has to be thought through. And I think this is what we are going to be facing. So the independent art scene is going to suffer a bit till they get back on their feet. They have been suffering, and they're going to continue till their audiences are back, when people are already, settled in, because the minds are challenged. People are scared. Everyone is worried, like, should I go back to the theater? If I go back to the theater and then I take COVID back home, the artists, the programmers are like, where do I start? I have a festival now next month, but how am I going to finance that festival? Because if I call an artist today and I want to program you, they will tell me, okay, I'm coming, where's my 50%? I don't have that capital. So these are the things that we are starting to be challenged with, and it's going to go on and on till we get ourselves back together. And I think for those that will survive, will have had the audacity to take that step. And that's a very challenging and a bold move, that for us who are saying we are opening up, whatever it takes, we are going to go with it. It's a bold move.
Wow. Well, this is the Creative Industry Talk. You are watching Faisal Kiwewa there, talking about the 2022 challenges that faces, an independent creative mind, independent art scene in Uganda. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, Faisal and I will discuss the last question of the show, but also we'll be picking comments from you on Facebook, on Messenger, on Twitter, on YouTube, and we're going to sample some of them here. Please keep them coming, keep the kisses and disses coming. What are your thoughts when we're talking about the challenges of 2022 that faces the independent art scene in Uganda? Are you an independent artist in Uganda? You have challenges. How are you going to mitigate these challenges going forward, now that the industry is opening up, for people to interact with their with the followers of the art in every art form in Uganda, in the creative space in Uganda? What do you have? Stay right there. We'll be right back after this break. This is the Creative Industry Talk. Who is Ras Kasozi? and what is the meaning behind your name? If I'm watching the show from New York, from you know, Vancouver, or from Egypt, and I don't know you, or even from the northern part of Uganda, you know, from Barara, from Tungamu, from Kasese, I don't know you. Who are you? You know, and what are the values that define you as a person?
Basically, I'm an African. Like RAS, R-A-S to me is African, and then Kasozi is my indigenous name, meaning I'm from Ngabi clan. Yes, so I'm typical African. Yes, from the Kamwe Muganda, basically.
Yeah.
And
which part of Buganda? Oh, yes.
I come from Muduma. Yes, Muduma. That's the PG side.
Okay.
Yeah. So with the purpose of...
Is that the central part of Uganda?
Yes, central part of Uganda.
Yeah, please go on.
Yes, I'm coming from a central part of Buganda,
yes.
Uganda, yes. And I have a purpose of living. I got an opportunity to know why I live. Business-wise, I make clothes, but why I'm on earth is I nurture possibilities.
Okay.
So my purpose is so much into supporting the youth, spreading the talent I have, teaching, yeah, through love, magnetic, sharing ideas, and also self-confidence.
Welcome back from that break. This is the Creative Industry Talk. We are on the final part of the show today, and of course my co-panelist and the programmer of the program itself is Faisal Kiwewa. We are talking about the 2022 challenges that faces the independent art scene in Uganda, and independent artists in Uganda is wrapped right there. Okila, Faisal Kiwewa, that's what we're talking about. I want to take you straight to Faisal. First of all, welcome back to the program.
Thanks.
I want to take a moment to read some comments coming from different people here, and first one coming from a man called Jesse Kakoza. Coach Jesse Kakoza.
He needs to come and do some
yes,
dancing.
Yes. Come and do some dance. These are the creative minds we're talking about. It says, gentlemen, greetings and welcome to 2022. Thank you very much, Jesse, for being a part of the Creative Industry Talk going bigger and better. We honor you as a creative mind. Jesse Kakoza, there is a coach, a dance coach in Uganda, and is a battle champion, eh?
He's done a lot of things. I think he's one of the most amazing creatives we have.
Yes. And he's a dance battle champion from way back in the days. And
from the obsessions, I think. He used to choreograph the obsessions.
Yes. And then when he went to Europe, he came back as a dancer. So he's always been in the space.
Actually, he's also one of the few Ugandans who have experienced Europe and came back home to do something useful. True. I want to read another comment here. It says, Okila, thank you very much. Coming from the messenger right there. Too many messages on the messenger. Guys, we want you to make the messages coming and the comments public so that we can see. One of the biggest problems that the creative mind faces is us speaking from the solitary part or space of our life. Artists, creative minds, please come to the public space and speak. You are as good as everyone else who speak in the public space. All right? And also, we want to see your comments in the public space. So if you send a messenger, there are too many. Sometimes we want to be able to see it out. But I want to read this one coming out. Okila, thank you very much for the show. My name is James, and I'm watching the show all the way in Congo. I live and work in Congo. I'm a Ugandan. I was in a creative space before, taking pictures, but man, things became hard. I had to sell my camera and joined, employment. Otherwise, I couldn't survive. So I have been in Congo for the last 1 year, and I hope that one day I will buy my camera and get back to work. Where is it?
For some UN in Congo. Yes.
Okay. Congo these days.
Yes, you were talking about the creatives leaving the space, and this is one of James is talking about it. I have another artist here says, hi, thank you very much, gentlemen, for the show. I like the fact that we're talking about the challenge that faces the creative industry, but also it was good to hear the president talked about the industry opening up. For first, I think Uganda suffered quite a bit because a lot of the people in the industry were open. Of course, we know our case. Bobby Wine brought all this problem on us. But I want to thank you guys for this show. My issue is that, like Faisal said, many of the creative minds are now leaving the space because it was too long to survive. It was too long to find something to continue keeping your family. Personally, I have been a documentary photographer. There were no documentaries going on. There were no documentation going on. So I had to branch into another form of art to try and survive. And right now, I am doing a playwright for NGOs across, outside Uganda, in Kenya, and in Tanzania, and is working for me, and that's how I'm getting it. Otherwise, if I'd stayed in Uganda, I wouldn't be making money. But kudos, guys. I hope that one day I will come back to documentary photography. For now, let me stay in writing.
But do you realize
Yes,
this is some of the things that we are,
Yeah.
we are talking about here, that you cannot imagine
Yes.
the number of Ugandans in the creative that have left this country,
Yes.
because they could not survive.
Yes.
And they were seeking new pastures. They were really like, they had to find something to do.
Yes.
And whereas the politics was focusing on one individual, the rest of the industry was going down, just like the education system. So I really think it's something that we really need to, I don't know how we're going to do it, but we need to really face the reality and understand that we've done some real damage.
Yes.
And we need to really take the responsibility to reinvest, to rethink how are we going to bring back this industry.
And I see this one, Faisal, and it says, Eddie Okila, thank you very much. I'm a sound engineer, and I would invested quite heavily in the sound space, in the sound industry for this. We took loans to build our equipment, to build a system, and the whole idea was that so that the Kenyan, sound suppliers did not come and take over the market. But I think COVID came too fast. Many of us had loans. Is that
Elvis?
I won't say the name, but I took off from Uganda. I'm leaving and back to Cheyo in the US. You know me. Don't mention the name, but you know what I'm talking about.
I think I have an idea. Let's keep there.
It's good, of course. My brother there, I know what he's talking about. But my issue is that Eddie and Faisal, what the show is talking about is very important. I wish all the creative mind in Uganda can actually support this program going forward, and they can subscribe it and make it fun, because it's the only platform we have to work. I was a big name in Kampala, but loans took me down. I had to take off from Uganda and come back to Cheyo. I'm now in the US building all over again because there was no support system and structures to help us. My entire system went down. When I hear Faisal talk about Raspberry Sally and the cables and what, I feel the pain of Rasta as a sound engineer, as a sound investor. I wish luck to those who are going to continue supplying the industry. For me right now, I'm moving into other forms of art, but let me first settle and pay my loan. My property was taken.
People are going through a lot.
This is a big person who is now left the country. Of course, we won't mention his name, but this is a very important point of discussion, Faisal, to just actually make people understand.
And all these people are independent.
Yes.
They're independent because they take on things that they love to do, and they feel their contribution is that not for just their families, but they're contributing to the industry, to this country. Because if someone takes on a loan and they say that I would really want to build a sound system so that we don't have to always go to Kenya to hire equipment, go to South Africa to hire equipment, let's have it here locally. They are employing people. They are creating jobs. They are really developing the skills of the people. They are paying taxes and all these things. And then you find them going all the way to the wall. To the point of leaving the country to go and work somewhere else. It's really sad. And there is no one who knows about it. There is no one except him and his family, I'm sure. And there is no one who has any plan for such industries, for such people. So I really think we need to, it's not my responsibility. I'm an individual, and I also have my hustles, to be honest. I have my share of burden that I take on. I don't want to carry everyone's, but as a people, as a country, we need to be aware of what is going on and have a plan for it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're going to go down the drain.
Exactly. I want to read one more coming up from another brother from another mother. Eddie Okila, thank you very much for the show. I had to run away from Uganda to South Africa. Again, like Faisal has said, and like my brother has said, that the part of the industry that suffered the most are people who invested in the sound system to help improve the sound of Uganda and to help improve the musical scene in Uganda. I think we were a target. That's what he's saying. Yeah. I think we were a target because looking at the situation we have gone through and the way the banks came after us to take our properties and there was nowhere to salvage the situation. I've been reading Uganda saying that they have put aside money to help people in small and medium enterprises to bounce back. But even that, when I tried to get my brother in Uganda to try and see if they can get this funding that government is talking about to come out, it was more complicated. It's more of lip service to the industry than the reality of things. No money has been put aside, and if it's put aside, only a few people who support the system like Balaam and the rest are the ones who keep getting the same money. So the industry really need to wake up. I know we don't have an industry, it's a structure right now that needs to be built and a sector. But I'm speaking from South Africa. I had to leave Uganda and come back to South Africa where I was based and start all over again. Now, I am learning movie sound and I want to become a sound engineer for movie because the musical investment that I put in is a waste of time. And I wish everyone in the music scene success, but they are not going to move for as long as the people in the government does not respect art and look at art as a form of competition to them. We're wasting time. Also, the structures are put in place. People like Balaam and a few other people who just come in. I'm reading it. It says people like Balaam who come in, says who have proximity to the powers that be. Instead, they who even hand from music and promote music. Sometimes when these challenges come, they are supposed to be able to tell the people in authority that, look, this is where I also earn my money from and support. But instead, sometimes they also manipulate the system. I respect them, but they earn from the system, the music industry, but they're also the same people who don't support the music industry. I'm being honest. I hope you can read my comment on the show because I've sent comments before on TV and it's never read.
Okay, I think, I understand personally. I really understand the frustrations of all the people. I am some of us are more and always frustrated, but we try to keep a smiley face. And everyone has a lot. If you start inviting people to talk about the challenges they face with the investments they make here, you will be overwhelmed. So it's really true, and I really think, as they say, they need to be considered. There is a need to really find out how do we all take part in this shared responsibility. How can we all have a shared vision for our country? I'm not talking about politics. Now, in the arts, in the creative industry, how can we grow it together? How can we share the pie or the cake that is there so that we don't grab everything to oneself? When I see people mentioning names and saying this one takes the thing, I have no problem with those people. But I think also, if other people are there in the market, then they should be given an opportunity or even thoughtful. We can't always keep things in one side.
In fact, I have one very interesting person. He says, Eddie Okila, thank you very much. I like what Faisal is saying. I think for me, the comment that has come from a Ugandan guy based in South Africa is key. I think it's important that we start to come together and engage the people like, Balaam, who they mentioned, people like Bajo, people. These guys have hand money from the industry. The serial killers, when the CRBTs came and took process in Uganda, artists didn't have the rights to their music. People like the late serial killers and many others made a lot of money from artists. This is because there was a lot of ignorance from the artists themselves, and the structures around the artists themselves did not support making money. Now, the promoters like Balaam and the likes came into the scene, and they have helped the artists to get to a certain degree of professionalism and, putting in them and organizing them. But I think right now, we don't have an industry. the name of your show could be very misleading.
No, you have to be hopeful.
Yes,
my teacher told me that if your dream is too small, or if you achieve your vision, then it wasn't good enough.
He's saying that the name of the show.
We want to be an industry. We want to be an industry.
I agree with you.
And we hope for that. So let's do whatever we can.
Exactly. And so he's saying that, but I also understand where you're coming from. So I think that we should have started with the creative sector. But now that we have a creative industry talk, maybe this can lead to a creative industry sector meeting together with all the people. I strongly believe that if you sit down, the brains within the industry, sit down with the likes of Balaam and all these guys together, we should be able to come up with a good and formidable, part for the industry to move forward. However, yes, I agree that some of these guys have made a lot of money from the artists and the artists. It was disheartening for me to see Chameleon on his knees begging all these years, the greatest artist Uganda has ever seen. Among the ones that have gone like Philip Bongole Lutaya, but the one that commercialized music in Uganda, kneeling down, I cried that day, and I think for me, I felt the Chameleon was dead that day.
I think it's okay. I mean, for people to express, but I also think it shouldn't be like you're putting the weight and the blame on someone. I wouldn't put a blame on Balaam. Why would I? He's also a businessman. He's trying to figure out how to survive. And if you're not, if the industry is not competitive to reach to the way he does his business, that's his style of doing business. And there are people who have come before him. We know them, and they were all doing the same things. So why should I blame Balaam? Why should I blame Chameleon? I mean, we all kneel. We all kneel. I don't kneel because I'm not allowed to. But your
culture allows you people to kneel.
Yes, but I'm not like I don't kneel. I'm a Kiwewa. I don't kneel.
Okay.
So that's a fact. So I think if someone kneels for something, it's fine. I mean, that's the expression, because sometimes I don't think Chameleon thought about what he was doing. But he was in a moment. He was in a moment. He was excited, and he felt in that excitement at that moment. His expression was to kneel. So what's wrong about that? I don't think we should make an issue. But I mean, going back to our topic.
In fact, I have my last question because that time is up, Faisal. Yes, going back to that, Faisal, I'll have a question for you. Are the professionals still there, or are there many who have left the scene going forward, left their jobs?
I think we've had
I'm talking about the professionals within the creative art space, the independent, in vis-a-vis those who are within the structures, who are doing things within the institution, like National Theatre and all these other places. Are they still there, or they have left? Because we're hearing a lot of people saying, I think on.
If someone was working for the National Theatre, they are not independent, and they can't leave because they are paid. And whether they are working or not, I don't know.
But theatre also wasn't working for so long.
Yeah, but they are paid. They are paid. They are like teachers. They were paid all through.
No, don't say teachers. Teachers didn't have money.
Some teachers were paid. Not all of them that didn't get paid. But I think what is clear is that if I had a job at the National Theatre, which I would never do, I wouldn't leave such a job.
Why would you say you never do?
Because I don't want to. I want to be independent. I want to do what I want. No, honestly, you can't do what you want when you're working for government. It's never happened unless if you are in a government that is really clear on values and systems and democracy. But it's not possible here. So I think for us, for the independent professionals, as you've heard from the messages in your messenger, people have left. Many people have left, so we are going to struggle. And I told you here before, I have a very good friend who is a dancer, and he sent me a WhatsApp message one time with a catalog, with a menu, and I'm like, what? Is he thinking I'm KFC? Or I'm like, I don't eat KFC. But then he was like, oh, Faisal, you can actually order and I'll deliver to your house. And I'm like, you started this thing? So this is where things are. And he earns more money than what he used to earn when he was an artist. I don't think he will continue giving more time to art than what he's giving to his business. You get what I mean? So we've lost so many people, and it's really going to be hard, as we said at the beginning, how we are going to keep up with presenting this content when it's not able to have the people who are there to present it.
Okay. Faisal, that said, I just want to bring us to the last part of the show. What would be the takeaway, and how prepared is the industry come, the day of us going public, to start? How prepared are we in 2020? Which is when the first, couple of days of 2022, and the industry is going to happen. Is the creative arts industry in Uganda ready to go back commercially and start to provide service? Because the industry feeds on entertainment. Work without play is very dangerous for the health of a human being and fitness. And if you're talking about the stress levels that are brought about by COVID-19 are quite very high at the moment. And we need the art industry to actually open up these doors. Are we ready to take up the challenge? That's the last question as we end the show. And what would be your best advice to an artist out there from a programmer point of view?
Yeah, I think, we are not new to this situation. I mean, I don't think the arts have ever been supported in this country.
Yes.
They have been supported from others from outside,
Yes.
but in this country, the arts have never been supported.
Yes.
So we've never, I don't know, I don't remember, as long as I've been in this business for the past 16, 17 years,
Yes.
I don't remember when the government was there to give money. So it's something that we are used to. We are immune to the fact that we don't have anywhere to run to. And let's not get confused with what was been happening in Gulu. Yes. That's unique in itself. But knowing that there is a structure where people get support to do their business is not a new thing, that it's never been there. Yeah. So we have to learn to continue to do business the way we used to do it before. We have to trust ourselves to invest more. And actually, we are going to invest more, because now where the challenge in investment is going to come, besides getting back to revamping our systems and equipment and all that stuff, and putting security to spaces that we are using, we are also going to add in the issue of